as she walked the streets looking for hidden trattoria to eat in. At that moment, her phone vibrated in her pocket, interrupting her reverie. It was Jules, her best friend. As Libby swiped to unlock the screen, she saw a photograph of a computer screen with a complicated spreadsheet flash up on her WhatsApp. "My view, kill me now," read the message. Libby chuckled to herself as she snapped a photograph of the sparkling turquoise water lapping against the stone harbour wall to her right and clicked send. "Poor you, come and join me," she added. Seconds later, another message pinged onto her screen. "Lucky cow, I would do anything to be there with you. Can we FaceTime later?" "Definitely. Should be in Positano by this afternoon, so we'll call this eve. Kiss, kiss." As Libby boarded the ferry that had slowly chugged into the harbour, she couldn't help but feel smug at the thought of all her friends and family stuck at work back in London. Here she was, on a stunning day, in the most beautiful country in the world, with 3 months of freedom stretching out in front of her. A cautionary voice popped into her head, reminding her to make the most of it. Before she knew it, it would all be over. She vowed once again to appreciate every second of the precious time she had left. She would be signing her life over to the world of law once and for all when her training contract began on the 1st of October. She knew it was about time she grew up and got a serious job at long last. Determined not to think about that quite yet, Libby watched as the ferry skimmed over the aquamarine water until they finally began to approach the Amalfi coast. She had dreamed of returning for years, having fallen in love with the place in her early 20s. As part of her degree, she had spent a year living in Bologna, and in the summer she had travelled along the Amalfi coast with a group of friends, making a brief stop in Positano. As she drank in the spectacular views, she felt her spirits lift. The emerald coastline soared up from the sea in undulating curves, creating little coves and hidden valleys. In one of these coves lay Positano, the picturesque village to which Libby was coming closer and closer with every passing second. The pastel-coloured houses that cascaded vertiginously towards the sea slowly came into focus. The golden dome of the church in the centre glinted like a beacon in the sunlight. Bright bursts of fuchsia bougainvillea tumbled decadently over the endless sequence of steps that crisscrossed the village. As the boat pulled into the harbour, Libby felt overwhelmed by the sheer beauty of the place. She took a deep breath in, tasting the salty spray from the sea, a huge grin spreading over her face. She knew she had been right to come back here. Gratefully accepting a proffered hand, Libby stepped onto the jetty. She found her bag amongst the mound of luggage that was piling up to one side of the pontoon and made her way across the beach and up onto the seafront. A selection of restaurants overlooked the beach, from which various stone pathways led up in twists and turns to the central piazza. The beach was full of holidaymakers, soaking up the sun, while jealous waiters looked on, sweating in their aprons and white shirts. Having made her way to the tiny piazza, Libby turned right, following the pavement to the side of the road for a seemingly endless length of time, reassuring herself that the ordeal was nearly over. She would soon have arrived. On and on she walked, out of breath from the sheer steepness of the incline, stopping occasionally to check the map that she had printed off back in England. Eventually, she saw a sign pointing up a little set of steps to a bright lemon-yellow front door. It read, Ostello la Casetta, in swirling letters. Elated to have found it at last, she climbed up the steps with a final burst of energy and knocked on the door. It was opened a few seconds later by a short man with sky-blue eyes and nut-brown skin. "Buongiorno," said Libby. "My name is Libby Saunders. I'm here to work for the summer," she explained in her best Italian. "I spoke to your wife this morning," she added, slightly perplexed by his blank expression. "Antonio chi è?" trilled a high-pitched sing-song voice behind him as an equally small lady bustled over to join them. "Sono Libby?" she repeated hopefully.